Hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi. It's great to be involved in Youth Voice Week, and I hope you're all safe and well wherever you are. I'm Dav from Drake Music, and I'm here with Connor. Hi Connor, and his mum Dolores. Hi Dolores.
Hi.
Uh, and we're all part of Soudbox, which is an inclusive music ensemble based in Tower Hamlets in London. So today we're going to have a chat about how important we feel youth voice is to Soudbox as a project. But first, I'm going to give you a little bit of context. So I'm part of the creative team for Soudbox, which, as I've said, is an inclusive music ensemble made up of disabled and non-disabled young musicians. And it's a collaboration between Tower Hamlets Music Service, Drake Music, and the London Symphony Orchestra, of which Conor has had many collaborations with the orchestra as well. So there are sometimes over 20 young musicians in each session. We use a range of acoustic instruments and digital instruments to make it as accessible and fun as we can. Our sessions are about exploring sounds and experimenting with sounds, encouraging creative ideas from the young people involved and their parents and carers. And yeah, to have fun and to build a sense of community, I suppose. And yeah, Conor and Dolores, you're really at the heart of Soudbox, and you've been involved in Soudbox for a while now, right?
I think it's 3 years now.
3 years, yeah.
3 years,
Yeah,
yeah.
time flies.
Even during the lockdown,
Yeah,
still involved.
yeah, yeah, that's so true. And we'll come back to that and have a chat about how we've tried to keep things going during Soudbox, during lockdown. Sorry. So first of all, Connor, could you tell us what your main musical instrument is?
What do you play, Conor?
Cello.
Yeah, yeah, Connor's an amazing cellist. And you always bring your own cello to the sessions, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes you might play some other instruments as well as the cello. What about you, Dolores? What's your main instrument?
I used to play the violin.
Ah,
My
yes,
main instrument, yeah.
yeah. But in Soudbox, you're
I'm a percussionist, I think,
I would
mainly in Soundbox.
I would say that's right. You're a multi-instrumentalist, but mainly a percussionist, which is fantastic. Yeah. So basically, Connor and Dolores and I actually got together on Zoom yesterday, and we had a chat about Youth Voice and how important we feel it is to Soudbox. So we've got some top tips to share from what we've learned at Soudbox over the last couple of years. So, Connor and Dolores, to kick us off, could you tell us a bit about performing and how important that is to you, Connor? Because you love to perform, don't you?
You like playing?
Yeah.
Do you like having an audience?
Dance.
Yeah, Connor absolutely loves having the opportunity to perform, and that's something that I know you were saying, Dolores, that Connor didn't really have that many opportunities to perform previous to this.
No, because he's sort of disabled in many ways. He never really, and we never could find any place for him to sort of develop anything musical. And he comes from a musical family and is very aware of sort of performing and everything. And he loves being part of the creative process as well. But really, when he's playing in a concert and he finishes, he beams. I mean, you can see his face lighting up, and he fully understands the whole process and what it means. And he is so delighted with himself. And it
Absolutely.
has given him so much confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that, and it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Conor. Yeah, I wanted to say something about, you mentioned yesterday about how it's good to have the opportunity to work in small groups, because Soundbox is quite a big project, and sometimes your voice can get lost in a really big group. But we have breakout groups where everyone works in much smaller musical kind of teams. So is that something that you enjoy, Conor, working in small groups?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're able to tell people what you want.
The
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, this is when Conor really sort of brings out his creative side, is when we're in those small groups. Wouldn't you say, Dolores?
Yes, and it has developed over the 3 years, and compared to when he started, Conor would not open his mouth. And then he'd whisper to me, and now he'll just come straight out himself and say, you know, if we're doing something spooky, he has a way of doing something spooky on the cello. If we're doing something loud, he'll go and play really, really loudly. And also he loves kind of conducting different sections as well, which is something that we didn't realize he would enjoy. And the thing about Soundbox is it's at a slow pace. Everything goes, and people are given time to express themselves, and especially with disabled people, that's very important, I think. And it really helps to bring on self-confidence and sort of an ability to communicate more, because they know they're going to be listened to.
Mm.
And it sort of helps in other aspects of life as well.
That's great. Yeah, yeah. I think it's really important to remember to leave time and space for people to communicate in their own way. Everyone communicates in different ways and at different kind of paces, and also people play instruments in different ways. We don't try and sort of stick to the correct way of playing an instrument.
No.
And I think that's really important for someone's musical voice to come out, is to embrace their way of playing, instead of trying to force them down a route of
Exactly.
of playing correctly. Yeah.
With Conor, when he started going, and I was inclined to push him onto kind of percussion instruments and easy instruments, and he loves the cello, and he wanted to try the cello, and I didn't think he'd manage it at all, but one of the professional musicians said, why don't you let him try? And we figured out a way. He plays it left-handed, not with the right hand bow, because his right hand is so too weak, but it works.
It does.
And it worked for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't it, Conor? You love playing the cello.
Yeah.
And as far as Conor is concerned, he's a cellist. He plays the cello. Yeah.
And he's a great cellist. Yeah. You're a great cellist. Okay, cool. One thing I wanted to talk about was how we try and leave time at the end of each session for feedback, to get feedback from you guys, all the young musicians and their parents and carers, because that's really important in the kind of evolution of Soundbox, is to gather that sort of immediate feedback at the end of each session, and then let that kind of feedback into the next session. And we try and offer like a variety of methods of giving feedback, whether that's a big piece of paper to write on, or draw something on, or using thumbs ups, thumbs downs.
Yeah.
emojis and things like that. Do you think that's useful?
It is very useful. And I think that it was because of that sort of working in the small groups developed, because of feedback like that in the beginning we didn't join Soundbox in the beginning, but when we joined Soundbox, most of the session was in a bigger group. And I think it was because of the feedback sessions that it sort of evolved, that sort of part of our regular routine now is to have these breakout groups that work and then come back. And again, I think because people said they really like performing, we always have a performance at the end now where each of the groups perform for each other, which everybody loves as well.
It's true.
Yeah. So,
yeah, it's great. So
and I think the lovely thing is that you have all the different ways of feeding back. So it's not just me saying what I think Conor would like, but Conor is able to say he liked this or he didn't like that, and giving it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or what he would like to do again.
Yeah.
You know. So Conor is able to contribute, which is brilliant.
Yeah. It's really good to hear. And also I want to say it's not as if we feel as a project that we've sort of somehow mastered this at all. It's like you just said, Dolores, it's a learning process, and thanks to the feedback that we get from Conor and everyone, it evolves into something that people really get on board with more. Okay, cool. Well, what 3 tips would you give organisations who want to work with young people better? I think we've already given loads of tips, especially connected to inclusive music making and youth voice. Things like, feedback, gathering feedback as much as possible, musical ideas like offering opportunities to conduct, so your musical voice is kind of heard. But is there anything else that you can think of that could?
One of the things I think that is very important is that if you're doing a project like this, it's important for it to be over a long period of time, because if you're doing a short project, it's good, and people like Conor will get something out of it. But having seen over the 3 years how much Conor has developed and grown, and the confidence he's had, and the voice that he has found, the sort of confidence to say what he wants and to decide what he wants to do, I think the best thing would be to try and think of it as a long-term project. And that's how the young people will get the most out of it. The other thing that works really well is the fact that it's a mixed ability group, and the more able musicians will help those that are not so able, or will help the newer members coming in, and that's very important as well.
Definitely, yeah. Going back to what you said about it being a long-term project, Conor, you mentioned yesterday how your friendship with Joe has become really important to you. You've developed quite a good friendship with Joe now, haven't you?
Is Joe? Yeah, Joe is your friend, isn't he, Conor?
Yeah.
And Joe's one of the other young people who comes to Soundbox, and I think because of that long-term scenario, you've really given it. You've sort of developed a really good friendship, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Joe isn't able to speak, but he can email. So he emails Conor, and Conor and myself email back. And then we meet up regularly now, even though we live quite far apart. But we managed to find a middle ground, and it's really lovely. And the two of them get on really well.
That's fantastic.
And it's because he met Joe through Soundbox,
Yeah, that's
Mm.
great.
which
great.
is another lovely thing, because once a lot of kids leave the school setting, it's very hard for them to have social contact with other like kids. And again, it sort of develops friendships, and it develops a sense of community as well. So yeah,
It's
that's
true.
really
Yeah.
nice. To kind of,
Great.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great. It's really great to get this this insight from you, Conor and Dolores. A couple of things I wanted to add as well is about Youth Voice is making accessibility a really integral part of a project in the creative process, instead of kind of adding it on afterwards. I think having accessibility at the heart of the project is really important, and it allows people's voices to be heard. And one thing we already talked about is about listening and just giving a lot of space and time. That's really important. Yeah. Well, this has been great. I think we're probably going to sign off now. But I believe you're going to watch a bit of Cooking with Sounds, which is a lockdown collaborative sound collage made with Conor and some of the other Soundbox musicians during these crazy times. Basically, we